Greetings, crafty monkeys. How the devil I know. I'm early. I'm in a dress. Summer has finally arrived. Yes, summer has arrived. So that's it. How are you? I hope that wherever you are, it's lovely and sunny in my garden out here. I hope that wherever you are, the sun has finally arrived. It's got a little bit warmer, and now we can all have a little bit of a better time. Because I do think if the sun shines, you just feel instantly a little bit better, don't you? Anyway, how are you? Have you had a busy week, a relaxing week? Are you working? Are you back to work? Are you back in the outside work? Or are you still working from home? We, of course, are working here very hard in Monkey Towers to bring you lots of lovely things. Very exciting times here, because today I will just announce that I am now planning my first live event for next year. Yes. It is going to be on the 12th of March in Birmingham next year. Apologies for that terrible accent. 12th of March next year. Live events and some amazing people lined up to give you a really brilliant day. Following the line of the VIP Club, it's all about enriching you. So you're going to get a chance to do some different types of sewing, but also a little something extra thrown in as well. I can't tell you too much at this point, but some hand sewing, machine sewing, 4 lovely tutors, rotation, lots of food, and a chance to have a little debrief and a little Q&A session in the middle of the day with the tutors, maybe a few quilts to show, and at the end, some lovely cake. So it's going to be a fantastic day, 12th of March next year in Birmingham. More details to be announced as we go through the time, and it will all be on the website, but that will be happening, and we're hoping to start promoting it in August. So that is that. Anyway, back to today. Well, I'm very excited because I've got a lovely guest today. Although I'm here in the middle of the UK, in the east side actually, we're going to be heading over to the United States of America. Yes, with our lovely Jennie Pickett, who should be here in just a second. But I can see lots of you watching. If any of you've got any questions, if you've never been here before, welcome. I'm Rachel. I own CraftyMonkies, and what we do on a Friday is we have a regular chat with our designers, and we ask them questions about their design process, how they got into this whole crazy world, who their inspirations are, etc. So it's a lovely little chat on a Friday afternoon. It's every Friday at 5 o'clock, and if you have any questions, please put them on the screen because we will go through them. And we're starting to expand our horizons a little actually with our Friday night chat, so stay tuned, because I'm hoping to get a whole variety of different people here for some chats coming up in the next few months. So eyes peeled. I don't know why people say that, eyes peeled. It's a really unpleasant thought, peeling your eyes. Who would do that? Let's have a look and see. I'm just going to move to the side because I'm wearing a dress. I don't want to bend over and give it a few. So I'm just going to move to the side like this and see. Hello, Gary Mills. Hello, Ruthie baby. She's called Rufus, but she's really called Ruth. And yes, there we have. I'm going to wave at you, Clover and Violet. So Jenny, you just need to ask to join. Just request to join. Let me see if you've requested further on down the road. Clover and Violet, yes, view request, and yes, go. She'll come back into position and say hello to our lovely Jenny. Might take a while because she's in America. She's got to fly over. Oh,
hello.
Let me just put my camera up a little bit because I was cutting the top of my head off. Not that people are really interested in my head, but hang on. Let me just move it up a little bit. Oh, you see, Jenny was a bit worried that it was all going to be very sort of, very professional. I said, no, it's all crazy here on a Friday afternoon. Anyway, how are you, my lovely? So nice to have you here.
It's great to be here. It's only noon here on the East Coast. So, so I feel like good morning still.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whereas for us, it's coming towards the end of the day.
Right.
But whereabouts are you on the East Coast, Jenny?
So I am right near Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. So, just a little bit, so a little bit in from the coast, but still pretty northeast.
Yes. And I don't know if I told you this, I might have done, but I had a pen friend when I was at school. I don't even remember how we got these pens. It must have been a school thing that they just gave us pen friends. And I think you could pick a pen friend from anywhere in the world. And bizarrely, my pen friend was in Pennsylvania.
Oh, funny.
So, and in those days, for any of the kids watching today, no, it wasn't an email. It was handwritten and it was posted, and it took a long time for letters to get there.
So long.
Yeah, but it was lovely actually. And and she used to talk about her house and her life and all this kind of thing. And yeah, it was a really, I remember lots of little bits and pieces, and that was where my sort of love affair with America came about. I just always wanted to live in America. I've not managed it yet, but I wanted to live there. Yeah, I like Americans. So, and now I'm working with them, with people like you, lovely Jenny, which is fantastic. So welcome aboard the Crafty Monkey train.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I saw when I was joining too that somebody said that they're in Whidbey Island, Washington. So I actually grew up in Washington, which is on our west coast.
Yes.
So yeah, not far from where I grew up either.
Yeah, it is amazing, Jenny. And I always say this, that, when I remember the first lady that came to see us from abroad was a lady in New York. And I just remember opening the windows and, people were sitting there saying, hi, I'm in Leeds, I'm in Scotland, wherever. And then this voice just went, hello, I'm in New York. And I was like, how has that happened?
So exciting.
Oh, it was so exciting. And, we've sort of looked at our audience on Instagram and things, and we've seen that, there's a good 40% of Americans are watching us, which is just fantastic. So it's so nice to have that kind of global reach. I mean, it's great for any company to have a global reach, but it's lovely for our community because in the classes, we have little conversations sometimes, and people get to see another part of the world. They hear about another part of the world. They're just hearing a different accent, is fun. And there was a lady from Barbados a couple of weeks ago. She was there for work, and it was you could see it was really baking where she was, and we were all freezing cold. But it was really nice to see her little bit of the world. So it's really lovely. It's really lovely.
It really is. And quilting is really a global community. So that's really, and sewing.
Yeah.
So that's really fun to meet people that you would not ever have otherwise run across, but that it's such a neat way to expand your horizons from home.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing. All from the comfort of your own home, which is amazing. And of course, then, as well as, reaching out to our quilters. By the way, I'm sure I could be totally wrong in this. I'm sure that somebody will laugh out loud when I say this. I'm sure I read that there are something like 60, is it 6 or 60 million quilters and sewers in America? It wouldn't surprise me because, there's hundreds of millions of you over there. So
right. So yeah, 60 wouldn't surprise me either. Yeah.
That's a lot of people to have on our Zoom classes, Jenny. So
we'll have to do multiples.
I don't think even Zoom can have that many windows open on a screen, but I'd like some more of those 60 million to come along. So yes, I was saying that we've got, people obviously coming along now, but then of course I've started reaching out to American tutors, and we are talking to a few, but you are the first one to be booked in, lined up, ready with the class. So it's very exciting.
Well, I'm excited too. I just love to be with people, and so it'll be fun to be not just by myself here sewing. Yeah. We recently moved, so I haven't really made many friends. Usually I try to find a few people that sew and have them over to my house and we sew together, but I don't have that here yet. So this is my new thing.
Well, you're going to have lots of friends here at CraftyMonkies, Jenny, let me tell you. And I loved your video for your class. When you opened it and you said, hi, friends. I thought that was so cute when I was editing your video. It was so nice. But let's talk about you, Jenny. Let's talk about your history, because for people in the UK who may not have heard of you, let's have a little chat about where you've come from and how you've got into this crazy world. Let's talk, first of all, about your company name, Clover and Violet, because where does that name come from? Because I know Ingrid's company is from her children. So
Right.
Where's the name?
So it's totally random. I worked at a law firm in my previous life, before I started sewing. And I've always sewn, but before I started sewing full time, I guess. So I worked at a law firm, and so we saw a lot of, I processed a few LLCs, and I thought, if I start a business, I need to have a unique name that will just stand out to people. So I didn't want it to have quilting in the name or anything like that. And so I just started thinking about Crate and Barrel and Pottery Barn and all of those stores, their names are totally unrelated
Yes.
to what they're doing. So I can't remember. I'm trying to think. So I think that my brother came up with Clover
Yeah.
because he would always name all of the rabbits in our yard Clover. So we thought
Ah,
like Clover and Company or yeah. And so I just was trying pairing names that went with Clover and came up with Violet because African violets are one of my favorite flowers. So I put those two together and no one else had registered that name and just went with it.
yeah.
So
And then it's grown ever since then. Because I know a lot of people have commented when we've been talking about Jennie Pickett, Jennie Pickett, and people have said, "Is that Clover and Violet?" People sort of know you
I
as
get a
it's
lot of
like it's like
emails and
yeah,
people think my name is Violet.
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's like Lucy. Lucy Brennan is Charm About You, isn't she? So
Mm-hmm.
people, that's her handle on her Instagram. So people think that is. Well, it's not her name. Clearly, nobody would christen Charm by you. That's a bit weird. Hello, Charm by you. But
You
yeah,
never know these
you
days.
never know. You never know. So you mentioned the sort of law angle. So were you a lawyer in a previous life?
Well, I thought I would want to be a lawyer. I thought that would be a great career. So I got a job at a law firm, which I'm really glad that I did because that's not for me. It just is too intense. Like I thought it would be, I don't know. I thought it would be different. It was just more intense than what I wanted to commit to doing. And we move a lot. My husband's in the military, so we move all of the time. So I was like, you can't practice everywhere. You have to get recertified and all sort of things. So it was just, I just decided that wasn't for me. But back to the name, that's a lot of the reason too that I picked a business name beforehand because I filed for an LLC and did all of that like official stuff before ever starting because I figured, in case this takes off, I don't want to have to then backpedal and try to figure out
Yeah,
what I'm
exactly.
doing later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you decided that wasn't for you. So had you always been sewing then from being a child? Was it something that was always sort of tapping you on the shoulder?
Yes, my mom sews. In fact, I started the business originally with my mom. She has
Yeah,
since retired. So my mom sews, my grandma sews. I remember being about 8 and I was at a friend's house and she said, let's make doll clothes. And I said, okay, where's the sewing machine? And she's like, oh, my mom doesn't let me use that. And I was
yeah,
like, I use it.
yeah,
So it's just always been something I've done. And then when I moved after getting married, I was by myself. My husband worked all day. We only had one car. So I was like, I got to do something to entertain myself. My grandma had given me a sewing machine. And so I was like, I think I'll make a quilt.
yes. Because I was just about to ask you that actually, Jennie. So I was going to say, what was your first thing? Because you mentioned there making the dolls' clothes, and I thought I wondered if you'd started by because I think a lot of people do start by dressmaking, but no, you went straight into the quilting. So where did the quilting thing come from then?
I just found a magazine.
Yeah,
I was like, I actually think I took a quilting class in high school, and the lady wanted us to like cut out all of the fabric with scissors and hand sew it, and I was like, this is gonna take forever. So I did make a quilt with her, and it turned out fine, but it wasn't fabulous. So I kind of felt like I needed to revisit that whole quilting thing. So I found a magazine and thought, let's give this a try.
yeah. And that was it. And you were off on your way. And did you feel like you had a natural talent for it, Jen? I'm just thinking of people who are starting out on their quilting journey now. And I know so many people get really frustrated with themselves. And we always say this here at Crafty Monkeys, you must not get frustrated with yourselves because when you're learning, it's like anything, when you're learning, it's, you're going to make mistakes along the way. What's a mistake though? Some people can see a mistake as something that's absolutely beautiful, a design fault. Nicholas Ball, you wouldn't mind talking on me talking about the fact that he'd made that wonderful kind of circular piece for the front of his book cover. Well, it ended up being the front of the book cover, but it wouldn't lay flat. And he'd made all these rounds and rounds and rounds. Took hours, and then he just sent it to Trudy Wood and said, "Cut it." He was like, "What do you mean? I can't cut into this work." He's like, "Cut it, and we're going to have to cut a slice out because it's not going to lay flat." And it was quite incredible. But actually, what you ended up was it looked like a cracked log that had lived a life, and as he said, we all live life, we all live with chips in us, and broken hearts along the way, etc. And so he said it was like life, really. And I just thought that was so wonderful. And yet, some people would have said, well, that was a mistake. So as we always say, you don't make mistakes, you just sort
Yeah.
of carry on. But did you feel like you had a natural affinity for it?
I was familiar because I had been sewing since I was a child, but if you went back and looked at my first quilts, they were, the quilting was puckered and there was definitely like all of the points were missing. And so
Yeah.
I just kept on going. And I always tell people, like, when things aren't working out for me, instead of being upset or whatever, I usually just put them away and get something new and just keep
Yeah.
starting fresh, because then I can just enjoy it rather than trying to make something work. I mean, that's a great example of making things work. I'm usually more like, well, I'll just throw this out and start over. But you just have to be bold, and everyone makes mistakes. And I feel like I let go of a lot of perfectionism so that I can just enjoy, like, well, maybe this is crooked, but I put a lot of effort into it and I love my fabrics. And so it's a little crooked. It's a
Yeah.
character
Yeah.
trait.
The character trait, exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? So how long did you, I mean, in terms of professionally then, so you started making quilts, for something to do, and then how did you transition into kind of making a profession out of it, or making a living out of it, or putting yourself out there in the public view?
I just sort of took a leap. I had done it for a couple of years, and then I worked at the law firm, and then we were getting ready to move. And so I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, I guess we're going to do it. So I started a blog and just started. And I think that a lot of it was just really timing.
Yeah.
That it happened to be good timing when a lot of things were kicking off. I think it's probably a lot harder to, or not harder, but it requires a lot more work now to like break in to the scene where it's very full, versus I think I'm at 12 years now. So 12 years ago, there
Yeah.
weren't very many blogs, and
Yeah.
it was a lot easier to stand out.
Yes. Yeah, because I think with the sort of age of the electronic device now, if you think about all the well, that's a different world. I was going to talk about influencers and people and how many people have jumped on a bandwagon. But I think the same thing with the quilting world is that
Mm-hmm.
traditionally you would have had to have gone in through magazines or publications like that,
Right.
and that would have been a more difficult process. But now, because everybody can get their phone, take a picture, and put it onto Instagram, and then
Mm-hmm.
try and build a following, as you say, it's kind of open to everyone, isn't it? So it is a very busy market, shall we say? Yeah.
Right. Yes. Whereas back when I started, we were taking pictures with cameras and editing them and uploading them, and like trying to make a blog post every day while taking photos and editing. I really
Yeah.
enjoy Instagram. It's
Yeah.
much more instant.
Yeah, exactly. It's Instagram. It's instant.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So when was this? So you said this was about 12 years ago that you started.
Yeah, so I think 2009 was our first year that we started,
Yeah.
um, and then so we originally started just making things to sell, but kudos to people who make things to sell, because it's really hard. It's a lot of work to make things, and so I did a bag, like for a diaper bag, because we were kind of geared towards like kid things. And people kept messaging me and saying, is there a pattern for this bag? Do you have a pattern for this? And so it's probably a terrible pattern now if I look back on it. But I was like, sure, I'll make a pattern. And I did, and people bought it. So yeah, so that was, yeah, about 12 years ago.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how life just leads us off in a journey? It's like those people were asking about that pattern, and that's kind of sent you on away. If they hadn't asked about it, you might have just carried on, just kind of trying to make things
Right.
and that route, really. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
good. So how would you? So I mean, for us, obviously, you're making that wonderful case,
Mm-hmm.
which is very different to a quilt. So are you
It's
still?
true.
Do you sort of, are you still in? I mean, I know for the VIP you're making as a medallion quilt, which we'll talk about in a
Mm-hmm.
second. So are you still afoot in both camps, that you make sort of lovely little cases and project bags and things like that, as well as the quilting? Is it kind of 50-50 for you?
It is. I do. I mean, I like the immediate gratification of being able to make something in like 1 or 2 days. I am probably the worst starter
Yeah.
ever. I'm still working on my daughter's baby quilt. She's gonna be 8 this year. But I do love to quilt, and I love the accuracy of piecing, and a lot of the small things that I make are also pieced in part of them. So it kind of combines both of those elements.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely do some of both, and yeah, I'd probably say like more like 25-75, 25% of the time I'll work on quilts, and then the rest I just like to make speedy things that I can use, and
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
can combine the two.
where do you come up with your ideas from, Jenny? So, because like I said, the case that you did for us, I mean, there are so many things in the marketplace like that. I mean, have you got one there? My screen's really dark. I hope it's not dark for anybody else.
You're not dark for me, but I feel like I'm dark too. So
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm not dark because it looks real. I think it's the sun has made my screen go dark, but I'm hoping the recording
oh,
will be okay. But
you
we're
look
both dark at the moment, but
you look
I think that'll
good
be okay.
to me.
Okay,
So I
that's all
do
right.
have these
Brilliant. So that's the case. So
here.
this is your first class that you're doing now, which we'll talk about in a second. But that case, now of
Hmm.
course, I've seen things like this in the marketplace in terms of project cases. But there was something about that one when you first sent me the pictures. I was like, wow, I'd love to make that. There was just all the little pockets and the zips and just the way that it was. So where do you get your inspiration from? Do you just design for yourself? Do you think, well, this is what I would want? Or do you think about other people?
Um, Kind of a little bit of both. I think like what have I seen that this would be different from? Because I feel like there's room for everybody, but you also don't want to make something someone else has made.
Mm,
And then I try to think about like how would I use it, and then what size would that be? And then I kind of just make it as I go, really, and then tweak things and add bits. Like this case has a little bookmark in the middle, and
yeah,
I thought you could easily put like a notebook in there to kind of
yeah,
hold your place, or you could put your thread in there if you're using it for sewing. And I've seen a lot of things with like elastic for the thread in the middle, but I just wanted something more multi-purpose. So then I
yeah,
just try to think like, well, how would I accomplish that?
yeah, yeah. And then you just design it, which is so clever. Because if I was designing something, I'd be like, oh, that's not going to work. I can't. How do you stitch that in? But you do. Now, in terms of your sort of, let's talk about colors and things like that, because I see you as a very very pretty designer in terms of lovely lots of bright colors and pastels and flowers. Is that right? Or
Yeah, I mean, you can
how would you see
see
yourself?
this behind me is my fabric.
Yeah,
Um, and so for a long time, I just bought everything that I liked. Like I would just, all the fabric that I thought was pretty, I would buy it, and I didn't really pay attention to how well it worked together. And so I would end up with these odd pieces that I thought were pretty, but then I would never use them. And
yeah,
so I started really curating everything to the same sort of look and color scheme. And some things are a little bit outside of that, but I feel like the more everything works well together, the
yes,
better it goes. And
yeah,
so that's why it seems really, I think, singular is it's very curated. Yeah.
yeah. So do you favor patterns or block colors if you have to design things? Because I would imagine that, I don't know, do you think patterns make a difference when you're designing things, or is it easy to design in block color? Because I mean, I know, for example, our improv quilters, a lot of them, it's all about the block colors. I guess it's like graphic representation. But for you, when you're designing a project bags and things, is it easier for you to think of patterns, or does it make a difference?
I usually think of scale, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm definitely 100% on the sew with prints. I don't know if I've ever made anything with just solids. If I have, I can't think of it. So I'm always thinking of prints, and then I try to think of like what colors, and then I kind of just look through what I have. And I told my friend this, I spend so much time looking at fabric
Yeah,
also, like to purchase. So then I'm like, well, I think I've seen something, and so I can go out and like find what I'm looking for um, to fit it. But I usually think of like the scale of the print and then the color of it. So would
yeah,
this large print work on this item, or do I need to find a similar color and a smaller print? But yeah, so I guess, I don't know. That didn't really answer that, but
Yeah, but no,
yeah.
that's a really good point. That's a really good point of thinking about a scale, because I'd not thought about that. I was just thinking there, if I picked a really big, lovely daisy print, but as you say, if you've got a smaller project case, that print might not work. It might look better in a much smaller daisy than in the bigger print. So that's very true, that kind of scale. I didn't sort of think about that. Interesting. You learn something new every day. Now,
That's right.
when people are coming on your class then, Jenny, to learn this case, and we should say when it is, and I hope you know, because I am rubbish. I never have my calendar with me.
June 26th.
There you go.
Yeah.
And
I'll
we've
have
done
to
it in the
remember
afternoon.
one.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's 4 o'clock till 7 p.m. UK time, BST time, which Eastern time, I believe you are 5 hours behind us. So for
Yes.
you, it will be 11 a.m.
11.
on that Saturday. It's on the website right now, and people can book for that class. And it's been popular so far. The pictures are beautiful that you sent us, and I think people are just looking at that case going, I want to learn how to make that. But in
And
terms
it's
of,
gonna
go on,
be
Jen.
easy. It's gonna be easy. Like, it's just a lot of details, but I think if you're at all on the fence, like, can I do this? You can.
Yeah, well, you'll be there with your teaching, and I love the fact as well that you tested the class out on some people before you put it up with us. So you know what time it's going to run, and you know what questions people are going to ask, and you've done the whole sort of testing procedure, which is fantastic. But what will people learn in the class if they want to come along? Because some people might look at that case as well and just go, oh, that's nice, but what am I going to learn? So
Right.
what skills will people get out of it?
All right. So you'll get the skills for these zippers here.
Yeah.
And there are two. And then I think your biggest skill, let's see if we can see this clearly, is going to be to put in this zipper and then bind it nice and neat so that when you zip it up, everything is going to stay in there. And we'll talk a little bit too about how to quilt this and that sort of thing. But that's your main skill. And this zipper is probably the most beneficial thing because you can then apply it to other items as well. But yeah, so we'll definitely, that'll be not the most of our time, but it'll be the trickiest part, but everyone can do it. I am total faith in you. So
I think it's always good though to learn a tricky skill in a class. It's
right.
always good to learn that tricky skill, because I know that you've got another class planned for us as well, and it's putting a divider in
Yes.
the round basket. And when you sent me the pictures, it was lovely. But I was talking to Kerry, our social media lady, who she's in the know. She knows stuff. And I said to her, so what level of it should, this is a great class, and should, because putting that divider in the middle, people are like, how do I do that? I don't know how to do that. So that's going to be fantastic. So it's always good, I think, to learn something that pushes you a little bit in each class.
Right. And I try to adapt things so that you can learn the skill and make this case or make a divider and then apply it also to other things. Because once you've figured out how this works, then it like opens up a whole new opportunity of ideas.
And well, I love as well, Jenny, that you gave us so many samples in pictures. So, one for holding passports and things like that. Then you've got scissors and fabric, scissors and needles and things. And then you could also use it for makeup brushes. I mean, there are so many things that you could use it for. So I think if you wanted to learn to make these to give us gifts, what a fantastic gift that would be, because people use all this stuff. So yeah, it's really good. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to that. So that's that. And then we got you involved with our VIP club. Very exciting.
Yes.
Launching on the 1st of June. Janet Clare is doing our first session for us. And every month we do a different tutor, videos, and also a webinar with that tutor as well, all for the monthly fee. And it's downloadable content, so you can keep the content forever. And we contacted you and you were like, yeah, I'd love to do something. So what are you going to be doing for your session? Because we should say as well to people, it's not just learning like a block of the month or learning a sewing skill. It's a real deep dive into the process, isn't it? It's all about really learning so much. It's not like 2 hours of sewing. If it was Blue Peter World, you'd go, well, this is the first bit now, and then this is the next bit. So if you were to do it as a class, it would be hours and hours, but we condense it into 2 hours. So what will you be doing for us, Jenny?
All right, so you want me to show you a picture?
Yes, you can. Yeah, whatever you have.
So here's what I have. I'm going to be doing, we're going to make a baby size medallion quilt. and I will teach you how to look at your fabrics to choose, because I know that that is hard. Like I said, I used to buy all sorts of things that did not go well together, and then I'd be like, what am I going to do with this? So we'll talk about that, and you don't even have to use my style of fabric. I'm just going to teach you how to pick out things that go together. And also there will be, so we have our center piece and then 2 rounds, but I'm going to talk about how you could add additional rounds yourself. So say you wanted more than a baby quilt, how you could choose some simple quilt blocks and expand your medallion to be something bigger. And so I did sew up a center. So this is what I have so far. Pull it back maybe.
Yeah.
And just these fabrics are all from different lines, and they might not have been what I would have first thought to put together, but after a little pairing and a little moving around, I thought they went really well. And so we'll just work on that and make something something really special. I feel like since I'm so slow at quilts, when I make them, I want them to be really special and unique. So I'm hoping that that's what we can carry over into this class. Make something that you'll feel like is an heirloom, not just a quilt. Although I think all quilts are heirlooms, but
yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll be absolutely brilliant. I know it will. And that's going to be in September. I mean, people can join just for the month if they want. So people could just choose your month if they want to and download that content and do the webinar as well with you. But you know, we're hoping that a lot of people will go for the annual membership because you get 2 months for free and it just rolls over now. It's just a club that's going to keep rolling. So wherever you join, you get your annual. And yeah, and then you get that content every month. And that content is very different because Janet is all about finding your own creative process and how to do mood boards and sketchbooks, and then she's going to come back later in the year to put that into fabric. And then you're doing your medallion quilting. We've got some things on sustainability, we've got some dressmaking in the year. So it really is you know, every month you get a different task, a different challenge. So if anybody wants to sign up for that, you can sign up on the 1st of June on our website. The info page is there at the moment on the website. You can go and you can have a look at the videos, you can have a look at all the information, you can have a look at the price, all very transparent. But the button goes live on the 1st of June, and that's when you can book and start viewing your content immediately on the 1st of June. So that's fantastic. Now, before you go, Jenny, we have to talk about a dinner party. I do this to all of my guests now. If you were to have, this is now when we get inside the mind of Jenny. If you were to have a dinner party with 3 guests, and they can be living or they can be moving on to the next world, and they can be anybody, they don't have to be anything to do with crafty people, who would you have to your party?
So I would definitely have to have Jane Austen because
now yes, Janet Claire talks about her a lot.
Yes, I'm a huge Jane Austen fan. In fact, I named my first pattern the Jane bag because I was using reproduction Jane Austen fabric when I made it, and I majored in literature in college, so I would definitely have to have Jane Austen, and then I think I would love to have George Washington there because, you know, wow, what an interesting person, you know, to step down from leadership like that is crazy. So Jane Austen and George Washington, and then I don't know, maybe Virginia Woolf for the 3rd because she's such a unique, I don't know, I've always been fascinated by her. So some literature people and then history.
Yeah, that would be, I think that would be quite an intelligent and quite serious party. I don't know. I mean, maybe Jane Austen was a bit of a party girl. I don't know.
That's kind of my drawback in life, is being probably too serious about most things.
Well, it's very funny how you're talking about putting patterns together, and then you put together this dinner party with 3 really intellectual people. There's no one in there to lighten the mood a little bit. Perhaps.
No, and it wouldn't be me either. Well, I always think I'm funny, and then I'm like, no one is laughing, so that did not come off as funny.
No, I think it would be good though. I think it would be you might walk away with a bit of a headache at the end of the night because you would have sucked in so much information from these 3 people. But
think how much you could learn.
I know, it would be fascinating. You would certainly have enough facts and things, I think, for the rest of your life for further dinner parties that you went to.
That's right.
Yeah, I like it. I like it very much. Lovely. Should we have a look what people are saying on the screen? And then
Sure.
now it's not a holiday for you in America, is it? Because it's a bank holiday weekend for us, which means that people don't have to work on a Monday if they're lucky. So people
It is.
Oh, is it a holiday for you as well?
Yes, it is. This weekend is a holiday for us. So, or Monday is our Memorial Day.
Okay.
Yes, so it is.
So do you have any nice plans? I mean, what's your lockdown situation at the moment? Is there a lockdown where you are?
We're fairly free. Our restrictions are mostly lifted. But my kitchen is orange.
Right.
So we're going to be painting that this weekend.
Okay.
Because orange is not the color I'd choose for mine. I mean, it's a very dark, it's orange. So that's our, that's our plan.
Okay. So it's painting all week. Well, that's what a lot of people do on bank holiday weekends here. A lot of people just do the DIY. But I have to say, I suspect that a lot of people will have done the DIY and be racing to get out of the door and, be allowed to do something. We're going to a garden party on Sunday, which will be nice.
Ooh.
It'll be fun. So I think the weather has turned slightly now, so we might actually have some warmth. Lovely. Okay, well, let's see what people are saying about things tonight. A lot of people just join and watch, which is absolutely fine. We've got a lot of people watching tonight. Alison and Gracie, Alwyn, Kenza. We've got Jackie, Trudy. Hello, Trudy. Sarah, Rufus, Gary. We have got Gracie says, good morning. Oh, as you said, from Whidbey Island, Washington. And we've got Hannah. I think we've got quite a few American people here tonight. I'm just whizzing through the names now. Loads of people watching. Loads. The Kindred Place. I like the name of that. Yes, that's me. The Islander here, Gracie says. So maybe that was when you were talking about the where you grew up. San Diego. Kenza is in San Diego. Hello, Kenza. You were here last week, I think. Loads of people. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight for these little stitchy talks. And V. Deutsch Singh says hi to both of you. Hello. Who else do we have? Sam Matthew. Hello, Sam Matthew. The Crafty Camper Van is following as well. Blah, blah, blah. Loads of people. Gracie. Trudy says, the good old days of blogging and, Flickr. Yes, do you remember Flickr?
Yes.
I tell you what, Jenny, did you watch I'm not sure if it was on for you yesterday. I'm sure it was. The Friends reunion was on last night.
Oh, no,
so,
I did
yes,
not.
we watched the Friends reunion, and I believe that the series ended 17 years ago, but it started 27 years ago. And that is scary. I sat there going, 27 years ago I watched these people. Wow, okay. Time just flies. Trudy said nobody's dark. Brilliant. We're both looking okay, so that's good. My screen has just gone really dark, which is weird. Loads more people joining. Now, Gracie says, and everything goes with cork fabric, apparently.
Yes. I do love cork fabric. Yes.
As a sewing expert.
I would agree. Have you seen it?
No.
Cork fabric? Oh, trying to think. I just had a pile. I have a pile right here. These are just strips left over. But yeah, so it's cork, like from a tree.
Yes.
And then it's backed with fabric.
Yes.
And you sew it. So yeah, it's really great. And so like this is rainbow metallic.
Yeah.
Can we see?
Yeah.
And then I think I have silver here too. Nope,
so
I think this is all. Yeah, this is silver.
Look really good with your for your case you're doing for us, wouldn't it?
Right, especially you could do cork like right here,
and
that would look super fancy. And it's way easier to sew with than people think. I thought it was hard, so I just stayed away from it. And I was like, you know what? I'll just order this and try it, and I was impressed. Yeah, so.
Well, there you go. Top tip, everybody. Bit of cork fabric goes with everything, and should make a lovely case. So thank you very much for that. Let's have a look. Now, Gracie said that she would go just to see Jane Austen and Virginia Woolf, so she would come to the party. And Elaine is saying hi from Devon in England. Hello from Devon in England. We really are global this evening. Well, lovely. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go and put on your overalls to get ready to paint
Yes.
your orange kitchen. You should put it on your Instagram grid. We need to see a before and an after. What colour are you painting it to?
To gray.
To grey.
Gray. Just
But a little
the
bit,
same as this room.
the orange and the grey would actually look quite nice together. Maybe leave a little bit of the orange.
It's very orange.
Okay, I'm getting
Super
the
orange.
I'm getting the idea. We're cutting the
It's
orange.
on its way to brown.
Oh. No, it's got to be a zinging orange.
That's
Zinging
right.
orange.
No. It's not like
Yeah.
tangerine or no. It's
No, it's got to go. I'm sensing it. Yeah. Well, listen, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us from across the pond. Across the pond. It's been lovely to have your company. I'm very much looking forward to your class. Cannot wait. Say, when is it again? June
26th.
There you go. June 26th on a Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time,
Yes.
4 p.m. for Oz, 3 hours. And the pattern is included in with the price, and you get your lovely bag. For anybody who can't make it, there will be a recording on YouTube. So the best thing to do is to book and pay for the class because you get the pattern included.
That's
then you will be sent the recording automatically. If you pay for the class afterwards, you have to go and buy the pattern. So always say, even if you can't attend, book and pay for the class, you go on the email list, and then you will automatically be sent the link with everybody else. So that's very exciting. And of course, can't wait to get the VIP content as well for September. And then onwards and upwards with so many more things planned. So it is wonderful to have our first American. I feel like singing the national anthem, but I won't because I actually don't know it.
I'll pass because I don't have a high range voice either. So
yeah, does it start? Da, 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 da,
yes.
da?
Oh, say, can you see? That's it. That's the one.
I'm thinking of the Whitney versions when they because I do always find that really, when we sing the national anthem here, even if you get the kind of the opera singers, it's always it's always the same. The melody is the same. Stick to the melody. You know. No. It's just ba 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 ba. Whereas with you guys, it's go oh. It's just like we're going everywhere.
It's like a show. You just never know what you're gonna hear.
You never know, but it is fun. It is fun.
It is.
Right then, lovely lady. I'm going to let you go. Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend.
Yes, you too, my love. And thank you to everybody who has watched us from around the world tonight. And next Friday, we'll be doing another Instagram Live here. So thank you so much. And thank you to you, lovely Jenny. And I will see all of you at some point, hopefully, in a class very soon. Take care, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend wherever you are. See you later. Bye.